All right.
Well, welcome to this evening's Redlands Camera Club Winter Competition. We have three wonderful judges that will be judging the competition. Our first judge is Robert Fletcher. Bob started as a professional photographer in January 1970. His early years photographing weddings for a studio in Orange County, California, shooting with a medium format Hasselblad camera. After photographing approximately 3,250 weddings over a 43-year career in weddings, Bob decided to spend more time teaching photography classes and leading workshops. In 1996, he started using Kodak/Canon hybrid digital cameras and was hooked on digital photography immediately. In 1999, he started working with Canon USA as a freelancer. That relationship continues to this day. Bob is currently spends most of his time working for Canon USA, teaching and leading workshops, but still photographs families and friends' weddings on occasion. Nancy Gall, we'd like to welcome her back as one of our judges. Early in her career, Nancy was a photographer, editor, and writer for several state and national magazines. For 7 years, she created publications for Riverside Community College and was the college photographer. She accepted a position at Fresno State University, director of marketing for extension programs, then chose to return to Southern California and taught at Riverside Community College, RCC, San Jacinto College, Chaffey College, San Diego Mesa College. For 16 years, she was in charge of the photographic program at RCC. Mentored many award-winning students who became successful professional photographers. Now in semi-retirement, she teaches photography classes part-time at RCC. We'd like to welcome Ralph Nordstrom back. Ralph is excited to be invited again to participate as one of the judges in Redlands Camera Club competition. He looks forward to enjoying the beautiful photographs. Ralph is a landscape photographer and since 2003 has diligently strived to be an artist. His photographs have won awards at the Orange County Fair, with one of his photographs in the fair's permanent collection. He has also sold his photographs at art festivals and street fairs and is currently supplying Joshua Tree National Park with note cards for sale in the visitor center, Christmas cards in his neighborhood to earn a he originally started selling Christmas cards in his neighborhood to earn a chemistry set. In college, his major was chemistry. Due to some changes in his life, he ended up with a career in information technology. Yes, he is a computer nerd. He worked for the First Interstate Bank, AAA Automobile Club of Southern California, NRT, one of the largest domestic real estate companies in America, Toshiba Medical, Sony Electronics, and Experian. One would think with such a technical background, Ralph would take a technical approach to landscape photography, and that's how his journey began. But with two classes that he developed for Joshua Tree Desert Institute opened his eyes. The first class was fine art photography in Joshua Tree, and the second was mastering landscape photography. He now leads workshops recently in Zion, Bryce National Park, in the past in Joshua Tree National Park, the Redwood Forest, Northern California, and the High Sierras.
Well, we have a distinguished group of judges for sure. Russ, would you go ahead and do a the walkthrough for each of
I
the
am
images?
now. We'll start with the first image.
And we'll do the quick run through.
I'm trying to. I have to go back and forth between the images. Why these are taking so long to download.
It was like the days of dial-up.
It's slow.
Yeah, Russ, you got internet problems?
No, I don't. It's just being very slow to download. I've noticed on 5 or 6 of them they've had an issue.
Is it possible that that is a TIFF file?
Possibility. I'm going to skip over. We'll come back.
There you go.
Thanks.
On your video now.
I don't think it allows TIFF files, but that's taking its time.
My wife, I'm not getting anything at this time now.
Time to log out and back in.
I guess I'll have to do that. I'll digress for a few moments. I don't know what the problem is. I guess my internet is stopped. I'll go back out and come back in. All right.
Well, while Russ is doing that, uh, Nancy, what are you up to lately?
Oh, heavens. Well, doing a little part-time teaching because I just can't seem to let that go. And I've been doing it for what, 45 years now? So I still love that. But in all honesty, my favorite thing I've been doing for the last few years is I'm a volunteer pet rescue transporter. So
Hmm.
I get to go out and um, pick up animals that have been selected from shelters and get them off to whatever medical treatment they need, and also take them to their fosters where they will be rehabilitated and find new homes. Thank
That's
you for asking.
wonderful. Thank you, Nancy. Russ, you back?
I'm currently doing a speech seeing where my at.
All right, we can see an image.
Seems to be working okay.
All right, you want to try to go to the next one?
Well, I went all the way back out, so
Ralph, what about you? You shooting anything fun?
hang on, I'm trying.
Just,
Oh, that's what the problem is. Hang on.
just got back a couple of weeks ago from a week in Utah, photographing Zion, Bryce Canyon, Staircase Escalante, Red Canyon, and a few other places too. It was a workshop. Had one other guy. He was wonderful. He brought his wife. They were both wonderful people to be with, very enthusiastic. One of the things I noticed about my photography, it's interesting to watch over the years to how it's changed. And of course, I only took about maybe 10 photographs between the two national parks. Get more selective as time goes by, but the ones that I got are really different from what I've done in the past, which makes me very happy. The other thing that been working on for months now is a final proofread of the book that I'm working on. I've been working on for a couple of years now. And I'm using my wife to do the proofreading for me, and she's doing a great job. Making some, here we go. Well, we're back a little bit. Uh, but uh, but yeah, it's coming together. And interesting thing about taking such a long period of time to finish a book is the things that I'm the things that I know now are not the things that I knew when I was first writing it. So I'm finding myself rewriting whole chapters. Certainly not, or whole paragraphs. Unfortunately, not chapters, but some paragraphs just need to be thrown out and redone all over again. Anyway, it's fun.
Wow, what a concept. All right, Russ, you're sharing your scorekeeper screen.
Okay, I need to be sharing the other screen.
Yes, please.
Okay, let me try this. There we go there.
All right.
I'm going to stop share and then I'm going to reshare it again.
All right, you're sharing the right screen, or at least I'm seeing the right screen.
Okay, here we go now. Hopefully.
I'm the one who's doing the sharing. You shouldn't be sharing at all.
Okay, are you seeing the first image?
We're seeing a gray screen. You should stop sharing.
I'm seeing a ladybug
You're seeing the ladybug,
and a little ant.
but I don't know why you're not seeing it on.
So
I got nothing.
confirming, Russ, that you've stopped sharing, correct?
I thought I stopped sharing. Yeah. Kick me out.
You're not sharing, but you're not. Go back to
Okay.
your judges screen.
Okay. Just
Now, you wouldn't believe this by watching us, but we actually ran through an entire contest yesterday with no problems.
And I can witness that.
okay. So I am trying to figure out. I've got scorekeeper 1 here. I've got scorekeeper here on the print competition. Okay, so let's stop my screen share for me, would you?
I don't see that you are screen sharing.
Oh, I'm not. Okay, so let's try this. Are you seeing the
I see the Lightroom gallery.
Okay, I finally see
gallery?
a.
Are you
Yeah,
seeing the picture now?
or whatever that
All
is. I
right,
see
so
it.
Russ, you
Scorekeeper.
stopped sharing. You're still sharing, Russ. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to make sure that you're stopping sharing.
Well,
One
I'm still,
participant can
I'm
Well, you know
still,
what
share.
I think the problem might be, Bruce? Now this says I'm sharing the screen through Zoom.
Right, you
Uh,
need to stop sharing.
right. Okay, there we go.
All right.
Now I see the Zoom link here on the main screen. Okay.
All right. I see a ladybug. Are we all seeing a ladybug?
ladybug.
I see a ladybug.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yes.
It's
Okay, I
bugging
think
me.
we're back in business.
Okay. So this is
May
your
I,
first image.
may
This
I
was
quickly toss out a recommendation for club members who are looking for spectacular nighttime photographic opportunities?
go
Since
for
this
it.
is the right time of year. Um, Descanso Gardens out in Altadena has a spectacular, light shows going on. I would recommend that. And also the LA County Arboretum. So I just thought I would mention that for people who don't know that those are available. And if you want to get lost for an evening, that's the place to go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Russ, is this our last image?
This is our first image.
It's our first image. So we're back to the beginning.
Yes, so this is called Follow the Leader. And this is under the category of small stuff, which is our
Okay, so this is
category
our
F.
first chance to do an actual score.
Yes, I'm waiting for the scores now.
All right. So we let's see how this goes. All right,
I'm going to
Russ.
call out these scores so we can see them. Nancy has 75. Ralph
Well,
has 80.
no, you don't have to give the individual scores. Just
I'm
who
just
has
letting you know
scored.
that they're coming up 76. Average is 77, and I guess I hit save. Is there any discussion on this image?
Right.
Is it all right if I clear mine because I meant to put in 78, but I didn't know how to back it off.
Yes, go ahead and clear and rescore. Oh, just you, Nancy.
Got it.
Okay. So, Russ, all you need to read is the average score, not the individual scores.
Okay, 78.
We just left Ralph. Bob, this is your image. You're muted.
Thank you. I believe I scored this a 76. I like the image, but on my screen, it's not really crisp, and I would rather see a little more room on the right rather than the subject being dead. Uh, I love the colors. I love the depth of field. I think it's a pretty strong image, but I think there could be improvements in it. So I scored it a 76.
Look at it.
My scores all disappeared. I hope I hit save. Okay, next image. Is Ralph back?
Nope.
Okay, I will wait.
And this is my first time. Do I now hit clear and go
Yes.
back? Will that take me back to the score section?
Correct.
Okay, good.
And while we're waiting for Ralph, Bob, why don't you give us an update?
Oh, workshops mostly. We just got back from Utah. We did a wild horses workshop for a week, and then we were in Moab for a week, and then a long drive home. We're getting ready for Yellowstone towards end of December. We're headed to Idaho, and then Yellowstone in January. Then we have several wild horses workshops coming up again, and next year we have about a dozen workshops scheduled at this point. So. We're doing the U.S. Open of Surfing. That's going to be in June down at San Clemente at Lower Trestles, which I have photographed that quite often. And just mostly workshops, trying to teach other people how to use those new digital cameras that they're buying.
I sent a text to Ralph.
I'm on the phone with Ralph right now. He's having computer problems. We're going to see about rebooting and getting him back on.
I'm going to assume that this portion can be edited out of the video.
Yes.
Oh, no, that works.
Oh,
If anybody has questions for the judges, let's go ahead and open that up. We might as well take advantage while they're here.
What is the scoring system?
Well, if anyone wishes, I can answer that.
I was gonna say somebody got to speak up.
In all of the other times that we've done this, we've been given a score sheet in advance, and they usually read it before we start this. And it is on a score of 0 to 100, with 70 being adequate. And if you're thinking in terms of a teacher, a B starts at 80 and an A starts at 90. And there are specific words that go with different levels. But basically, we're responding to what we're seeing. And of course, we're seeing a variety of things. Anything that has to do with composition and noise and coloration and that kind of thing. And then we choose our level as we think appropriate. And I can tell you historically, if anyone were to receive a 95, we'd probably have to, set up a holiday for that individual. I remember one year when we rated someone a 98, and I think most of us had to, run to the refrigerator and open up the door and wave the cold air on our faces because it was so spectacular.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy, can you put in the chat the places you talked about night photography?
Oh, that I talked about?
Yes, put in the chat.
Yes, I can do that. I think I had to say that because I hadn't said a thing about photography. Yes, I still photograph. I thought, well, I better tell them some of the places I'm photographing at.
That Descanso Gardens, they had that on ABC 7 News the other night, showing
Did
it all lit
they?
up and stuff. Yeah, it was really interesting.
Well, they must have been covering um, the Halloween themed one.
No, it's the Christmas one. It was
Oh,
just
they're
like
already set
last
up for
night or something.
Christmas?
Yeah, they were just some pre-show thing for members of the media and stuff like that. So
Well, I'll tell you, last year's was flabbergasting. It was so beautiful. I got to that point where I thought, oh, they've always done such fabulous work. They can't be coming up with something new. Turns out they could. And
mm,
they brought in artists from around the world.
mm.
And we saw some amazing things. And it gives you so many opportunities to, yeah, it's wonderful.
Too
Russ,
bad it's
do you
so
have
far away.
an update from Carl? Russ, do you have an update from Carl you can share?
The update I had from Carl was he was hoping to come home today, and I don't know if he did, but they are both doing very, very much better. But he was hoping to get home today or tomorrow.
So Nancy, they allow tripods because I went for the Halloween night and they would not let me bring in the tripod, saying
I'm
that it was a risk.
surprised.
It was a risk.
I am very surprised because I was there and not the opening night. Were you there on a weekend? That may have been in
I was on
past.
Wednesday, the opening day, I think.
I can't say. So I do apologize if I've given you wrong information, but I've certainly seen people using tripods as long as they don't get in people's way.
That's what they said. No, no, you have to check it in because we can't allow it'll
Well,
be very
thank you.
risky to, because
Thank
they'll
you
be
for letting me know that.
Yeah.
This is Stephanie. I was there during the Halloween time too, and they allowed me to take in my tripod. I had it on my shoulder, and I had it set up, and I took it last year. Actually, last year I lost it there, and they called me a few days later to say that they found it, but I haven't had any problems taking tripod in.
Well, you know how it is. Sometimes when you have people who are given positions of authority for brief times, some of them feel like they need to use it.
But she did say a key word there, and that was opening day.
That's true. And I heard that was a very, very busy day.
That'd be like going on Christmas Eve or something, you know.
Robert, I have a question for you. How can you find out about your workshops?
I'm on Facebook under Robert R. Fletcher. That's probably the easiest way to find out. I do not have a website. I have a long list of people I email when I set up a new workshop, and usually from that email list, they book pretty quickly. So, but if you'd like to get on Facebook and ask me to be a friend, it's Robert R. Fletcher,
Robert
and
R.
I'll respond to that. And usually I post, actually, I just posted one today, one of my Yellowstone workshops. I have 3 openings left, and you can take a look there.
Well, I live in Tennessee, but I have a child that lives in Victor, Idaho, very close to Yellowstone and the Tetons. And maybe on one of my visits, I can you coincide it with, one of your workshops. I would just love that so much.
Yeah, if you
So,
look what I posted today, I have a bunch of images on there. I don't know, about a dozen or so of the bison, there's elk, there's all kinds of wildlife in Yellowstone in the winter. And it's an incredible place to go and photograph.
but do you have a hard time getting there though? Isn't there a lot of snow? I've never been up there in the winter. I
I
always
click
have been there in the
OK,
summer, fall.
and there they are.
Yeah.
There's the Tucson.
Try turning your video off.
Turning my video off. Now, what does that mean?
Right now you're having trouble with your internet. So turn your video off.
Well, then I can't see the image, the photograph.
No, we just can't see you. That's all.
Oh,
Your video
Right
takes up a lot of
you
bandwidth,
hover
Ralph.
over the audio, it'll mute it. You head over the video, it'll.
sorry.
Well, I guess it's, yeah. There you go. You're good. All right, we're gonna try.
I think we're back, everybody. Ralph is back. We're going to keep his video off to see if that helps speed up his internet. Russ, do you want to try jumping on to image number 2?
Image number 2. I screwed up. I'm sorry. Hang on. Image number 2 is in the close-up category, Suristic basketry.
I think it's my turn to comment.
I need
Yes.
scores.
We'll wait till we get the average score.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And so, Russ, as the scores come in, if you could just say, we've got Bob's, we got Nancy's, we got Ralph's.
We have Bob.
You don't have mine.
No, Ralph, don't have yours.
I do not
Don't have
have yours.
Nancy. I
You
have
don't have
Nancy.
mine. I do.
We have it. Average 78. Nancy, this is yours.
We have a very nice exposure here and lots of marvelous colors and contrasts. But what we don't have is a place where the individual's eye is being led to initially. You kind of look in the middle, which is a static approach to it. It would be nice if this large roundish area was off to the left or off to the right, because it would help the viewer's eye go to that spot and then travel around the image and then travel back again. But the way it's set up right now, you look in the middle and you pretty much stop right there.
Next image, places. Welcome to New York. Waiting for Ralph. 79. Ralph, this is your image.
Yeah, this is really captures the bustle of New York in a very nice way. The fact that it's a rainy day it does some magic on the light. Um, the cars are all locked up. Oh gosh, there's even people standing next to one of the front cars. It looks like. I know that's the car behind it. Um, so I think it really captures the feeling of being in New York, although I've never been there, but it looks like it was. It's just the verticals are not quite, they're just off by a fraction of a degree, but they're not quite completely vertical. So that's why I gave it a 79.
Next image is places disconnecting.
Could you say the title again?
Disconnecting.
Disconnecting.
Disconnecting. '80. Robert, this is yours.
I scored this an 82. I loved the colors. The composition I thought was nice. Uh, the building in the right middle ground was appealing. The sky was very nice. I didn't quite understand the title, Disconnecting, but for me, that didn't take away score for what the image was. I scored it an 82.
The next image is in open miscellaneous. The title is Elegant. Score is 76. Nancy.
This has a lovely, elegant feeling about it. Great subject. However, there's a wash of light coming over it, which I believe was unintentional and could have been corrected on the spot. And I just felt that I would like to see that knowledge of how to deal with this kind of light employed. But overall, it's quite pretty.
Places, Fall and Ricketts Glen. '80. Ralph?
This is a very interesting waterfall. It's quite unique, having so many different steps and so many different places on those steps. I like the fact that the waterfall is coming on a diagonal uh, from the top down to the.
The waterfall is formed by a diagonal sandstone ledge across the river about 1 mile.
Hold on a second.
6 kilometers downstream from the confluence of the New and Gulf.
Sorry about that.
Thank you, Alexa.
Anyway, so I like the way that it's coming down at an angle. That's a diagonal that goes from upper left to lower right. So that's a downward energy diagonal, which is very, very thin. I also like the way that it is balanced with the autumn colors up up above it and to the right. Um, that balance is very important. You're not only getting a balance in position, but you're also getting a balance in color. Oftentimes balances are opposites of things. The one critic, technical critic, or no, it's not a technical critic. The one criticism I would have would be the shadows. There's a lot of black in this, and this is a personal preference of mine. But I prefer to see details in my shadows. And so if I had this in Lightroom, I would use the shadows adjustment and move it up towards the positive just a little bit, just to get a little bit more, not a lot. The darkness is great, the contrast is great, but I would just make the shadows just a tiny bit higher, brighter.
Can we hear the judges' scores when they're
80.
okay?
Could you also do me a favor? For some reason, the scores have disappeared. Would you all rescore the image again so I can save it?
I'll clear it and give it again.
Thank you. Okay, the next image is Places, Morning at Silver Lake. Waiting on Ralph. 80. Bob.
I scored it a 79. It's a good image. I like the reflection. I struggle with the fact that there really is no foreground in it, and to me, landscape needs a foreground, middle ground, background, and there is no foreground. The other thing that I struggled with the first time you did the run through and all the images, about maybe a quarter way in or a third way in on the left side, there's this very strong diagonal line that almost makes it look like a third of that image was added. I don't think it really was, but between that flat rock and the flat rock above it and the reflection of the water, it's disconcerting to my mind, and I scored it a 79.
Yeah. Okay, next image, photojournalism, teamwork. Oh, did someone want to challenge the last image?
Not me.
Okay.
Well, this is a really special photograph for me. That could be my daughter, although that's not Rascal running. But it could be my Rascal as her.
Have we scored it yet?
No, we haven't.
Not yet.
I'm waiting for the score.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead. I can't wait to talk about my daughter. You can't blame me for that, can you?
We're waiting for Nancy and Ralph. Score 81.
Okay, so I think you know that this is about my daughter, and it's very realistic. uh, that's quite a competition, but that's not what we're talking here about. So anyway, barrel racing, yeah, a lot of action, and there's some pretty deep shadows, which is, I don't know if this is my computer or what, but it's got some pretty deep shadows that I would prefer to see lightened up a little bit. But I gave it a 78.
Its next category image is people, and it's comet catcher. Ralph?
You got it.
Oh, there we go. 79. I believe this
Russ,
is right.
announce who the commentator is, please. I think we skipped over you, Nancy.
We did. Would you like me to go?
Yes, please.
Alrighty. I scored this a 77, and I think it's, delightfully entertaining. But I look at this and I think, what are the chances that they really made this happen? Are we combining a couple of photographs, uh, using different techniques? And in addition to which, I'm looking at a moderately star-filled sky along with a brilliant daytime desert. And so, although I find it quite entertaining, I'm having a hard time accepting this as uh, a genuine one exposure photograph.
Thank you. Our next image is in the open miscellaneous category called Mission Spotlight. Bob?
I scored it an 81.
I don't have the 81.
You don't? Well, let me,
No 81.
okay, hang on. And my screen just went blank on my phone. There we are.
There we go. I've got it.
You got it?
Average
Okay.
is 79.
And it's
I've,
my turn to comment.
yeah.
Okay, I scored it an 81. I look at it, my OCD kicks in. Um, I'm looking at it almost perfectly centered. I'm assuming that it is some sort of a composite that was created from an image and designed. I- I can see some creativity in it. I didn't understand it when I first looked at it, but the title did help me to understand it. Somewhere I'm taking it this is a silhouette from the Mission Inn in Riverside. So I scored it an 81.
Thank you. Our next image is close up, hiding in plain sight. 85.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I scored this an 89. It swept me away for a number of reasons. Um, I love the depth of field, just enough depth of field to give all of the critical components clarity without making them too sharp. And I appreciate that there's no extreme clarity added to it. I appreciate that there's no super saturation added to it. It's absolutely flowing and beautiful. And I love that we have a rule of thirds with a diagonal coming up from the lower right-hand corner into it. I think it's beautifully balanced, and it just impresses me terribly.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Our next image is in the Anno category, La Jolly Preen Party.
Yeah.
Ralph,
Yep.
score 80.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Um, this is really quite an amazing photograph. I gave it an 81, and to have the three pelicans together like that is really quite amazing. I'm looking for little flaws with the photograph. I really don't see any. With perhaps the highlights might be brought down just a little bit. Not so much with the head of the pelicans, but especially the middle one, but the rock right behind them that's kind of bright, bringing it down a little bit would show a little bit more texture there. But other than that, and you know, everything's on the left-hand side of the page, but yet still in balance because you got the ocean, you got the surf over there, balancing it out. So yeah, I was really happy to give this one an 81.
Thank you, Ralph. Our next image is small stuff category, and it's called Kermit.
Mm.
Score is 82. Bob.
I scored this one an 85. First run through, I sort of, you have a few seconds to look at it and it's like, oh, everything's out of focus. But then I looked at that forward eye and uh, on my screen, that forward eye is just tack sharp. So it has this really cool depth of field that draws you to the subject, which to me is that eye. And then it has the diagonal line. He's coming in from lower right and the branches going up into the mid left. The colors are there, the reds, the greens. I gave it an 85. I really like it.
Thank you, Bob. Our next engine, I'm sorry, our next image is an open miscellaneous. It's swaying kelp. 80. Nancy.
I scored this 81, largely because it appealed to me. The things I like about it, the lovely drop off of color as the kelp goes underwater. What I'm not crazy about is the main kelp. I don't even know what to call them, branches. That's good enough. And it's hard to tell how far above the water they are, whether they're on the water or I'm not seeing any cast shadow or anything that tells me enough about them. In addition to which, the area over to the right, which has nothing in it altogether, is drawing the viewer's eye because it's such a brilliant color in comparison to the rest of the image. So I would love to say a very soft vignette over there, some kind of masking that would darken that area, push the viewer's eye back toward the kelp. But overall, a very appealing photograph.
Thank you, Nancy. Our next image is in photojournalism. Shark fin finale. Robert. Robert, I don't have a score from you.
Well, hang on, my phone again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to rush any of you if I say
Oh
your
no,
name.
my
Okay.
phone just went blank for a moment. I had scored it, but apparently it didn't go through.
Okay. Uh, the average score is 81. And I believe this is,
It's mine,
thank
because
you, Ralph.
I get to talk about my daughter again. So let's start out with the light-colored mountain to the right. That's Mount Whitney. That's the tallest mountain in the lower 48 states. I've been up there several times. Now, the climber is probably on Lone Pine Peak. I can't imagine any other. That's the mountain that's there. And that's what my daughter would be doing on Lone Pine Peak. She's also a climber. So I have a really strong connection. I like the balance in the image with Lone Pine Peak and then and then climber at the top. On the left, it's balanced with Mount Whitney. On the right, I like the little boulder down in the lower right-hand corner, the blue sky. So I give it an 85. I like it a lot.
Thank you, Ralph.
If it's all right, I'm going to clear and raise my score a bit because a couple of things that Ralph said resonated with me, and I'd like to see more points allotted to
Oh, do you
this.
know my daughter too?
So are we challenging this then, Nancy?
Yes. That's the
Um,
type of
I
challenge.
wasn't challenging, I just wanted to change my score if I might.
I think the only way to do that is to challenge.
Well, it
Oh,
didn't give me a challenge, so please re-enter the score and we'll see what happens.
Go ahead and challenge me. I won't be offended.
I'm waiting for yours, Ralph.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's right. The challenge. Whoops, I did it wrong. I got to go back. Um, hold it. How can I do this? Undo this. Do over. Oh, here we go. There we go. Got it.
Okay, 85. Average now is 83. Thank you. And it
Thank
did
you.
83 on the average. Okay. Our next image is under photojournalism, and it's Edge Hill Fire.
Ooh.
scored an 88. And I believe this is Robert.
I scored it an 89. I really, really like this image. Someone was putting themselves in a place that it was a good place to be in at the right moment. The fact that they caught the helicopter, the fire, the exposure is great. Everything has a nice feel to it. You see the foreground of that tree off on the left, so somebody knew how to compose an image and put some thought into it. Very well done. I scored it an 89.
Thank you, Bob. Our next image is in the places category, Florence in Golden Hour.
Hmm. And golden. Oh.
Nancy, thank you. Scores an 80.
80 is what I scored it. And this is a nice catch. Although I wouldn't call it golden hour, I would say twilight, just being technical. Sorry about that. It's the teacher in me. And one thing that there's a nice balance going on here, but I would love to see about the bottom third of the image cropped away because I don't feel that large darkness with the bright rectangle in it, which is drawing the viewer's eye downward, is enhancing the photograph in which we want to be really looking at the dome and the detail on the buildings and even that brightly lit window of the early evening over on the left. So very nice photograph, but I think it would benefit from a substantial crop off the bottom.
Thank you, Nancy. Our next image is in the small stuff category, just dropping in to say hello.
Hmm.
'82.
And that looks like it's mine, right? Yeah,
Yes, I believe
the
so, Ralph.
composite, huh? Pardon? Yeah. Yeah, the composition, I like it a lot. The leaf coming in on an angle and kind of turning down, and then the caterpillar um, at the tip of it. There's yeah, there's just a lot. I like the color on the caterpillar. I like the positioning. It's kind of curving in the opposite direction as the leaf is curving. And very, very, very sharp focus. Everything's just pin sharp, especially all those little white things that come out of him. So I gave it an 80.
Thank you, Ralph. Our next image is under places, and it's a picture of a tree, and I'll try to pronounce it. I believe it's French. It's La Dilo Via Vera. And that's the
Tree of
best I'm going
life.
to do on that.
Is that tree of life, maybe?
It looks like it's one of the bristlecone pines. The spelling of this is Ladoiedvivre. Ralph?
There we go.
There we go. 82. Nancy?
My apologies, it's my turn. Well, I was enjoying this very much. An excellent, excellent shutter speed to for those stars. Consistent lighting throughout. Even though the lighting clearly has an artificial light source, I'm enjoying the cast shadows on the boulders over to the left as a result of using that light source wisely and not applying too much light to the rocks and the fallen trees down below. So I really thought this was rather wonderful, and I gave it an 85.
Thank you, Nancy.
Mhm.
Next image is in our people category, Bygone Story. '78. Ralph.
This is a touching photograph. There's something going on between the two of them. Um, uh, there's he's got his look at her, and she's kind of leaning away. The thing that and I like stuff like this, photographs that are don't appear photographs of people that don't appear like they've been told where to stand or where to put their hands and stuff like that. I couldn't see the dog until just the very last minute. So the tonalities in here are a bit of a problem because the dog's head is not really separated from the man's dark jacket unless if you take a really careful look at it. Um, so that could be an improvement to make the dog stand out a little bit more. 80.
Okay, thank you, Ralph. Our next image is an open miscellaneous, Big Moon over the cabin.
Uh, and guys,
Bob, this is yours. Scored 80. Can't hear you, Bob. You're muted.
I am. There we go. I like the image, and I guess the title helped me to define it a little bit. The big moon. To me, it's a little too big. It it's an interesting image. I like the looks like the sunset just below the moon. I like the what looks like a spaceship flying in the sky off to the right. I don't know how much of a composite this is, but I scored it a 79.
Thank you, Bob.
can I
Our
say
next,
something
I'm sorry,
about that
excuse me.
moon? Because Bob, you're right. You're right on. This is definitely a composite. There's no way in the world that you can get a moon that big with a building that small. So it's definitely a composite, and I marked it down because of that. And to me, it just seems out of place. It's not a real moon. It just, yeah, it just doesn't work at all for me.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Bob. Our next image is in the open miscellaneous, and it's called After the Race. Nancy. There we go. Thank you. 78. This is yours, Nancy.
Yes, thank you. I gave this an 80 largely because of the emotional relationship that's been created in the photograph. Nice capture of the woman, nice capture of the horse. But I can't go, beyond that because I'm not seeing enough detail down in the horse's face. This vertical crop is questionable for the subject at hand. Although that's a lot of personal preference, but I have also a couple of those magazines I photographed for early in my career were National Horse magazine. So I was very aware of what I wanted to tell people. And it almost never ended up with being a small vertical crop of a horse just down to the bottom of the mane. But this has a lot of emotional impact. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate the light on the woman's face. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We are about halfway through. Would you folks all like to take a 5-minute break?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Sounds
Final
good.
break.
All right, good. We're on break. I'm just going to leave it the way it is so I don't screw it up. Okay.
Actually, Russ, on the top, if you click taking a break, it will show taking a break.
I could do that. Let's see.
The
I saw
things we
that.
learn.
Okay, there we go.
Well, we had a slow start, but I think we're getting in the groove.
Got a nice pace going on.
Yeah, we've got nobody has any more technical problems. Ralph, I think not having your video is actually helping. I don't know. I think you've got internet challenges is one of them. Of course, he may not even be there. I can't see.
That's true. I was worried when it turned out that we had to score on our phones because I'm in a hilly area, and even at only 4G, I rarely get more than a single bar.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been crossing my fingers this whole time that I wouldn't lose everybody.
So you don't even hook your phone up to your Wi-Fi?
Well, it is, and this is still what I get.
Okay. Well, it's working way better than when you texted. Yeah, when we used to text, that used to take like a minute as it circled the earth.
Well, I also have a brand new phone, and I have finally jumped ship to an Apple phone, and I've been fighting with it for about 2 weeks now. So yeah, I'm
Yeah, the learning
very
curve is
very hopeful. But it's so funny because I have to keep this thing pointing toward my face because it won't go back to the scoreboard until it sees my face again.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it really is.
But it locks, it waits for a minute or so and then it'll lock and then you just swipe up on it and it'll look at your face and let you back in.
Well, but it has to see my face again. I've tried setting it to the side, but it says, might not be you.
Yeah.
So, Bob, I know that this is probably a ridiculous question, but when you go out to photograph the wild horses, I'm assuming that you must be out in a pasture and very mobile while you're doing this.
We are very mobile, four-wheel drive vehicles mostly, and it's a 400,000 acre pasture.
Okay.
Oh, it's a big pasture.
Well, unfortunately, this has been coming for 10 years. My knees have called it a day, and I get all around on wheels, but I don't get to bounce around on my feet anymore unless it's walking through the house. So,
We actually have a gentleman, actually, he's been to half a dozen of my workshops, and he goes every time we go out to the wild horses. And the vehicle that we have is a van it's a big van with sliding doors. And he actually sits in the seat and photographs from the seat with a long lens. Because
well, that's what I was considering, but I
yeah,
thought it might be awfully inconvenient for
no,
you.
really, it's not. Most of my clients are, um,
Not spring chickens?
yes.
Chronologically advanced.
Well, you know, when you have a 92-year-old gentleman with you that he takes my wife's arm to walk if he gets out of the vehicle, that's not the average, but that's not uncommon. And
Right.
most of our places, like when we went to Moab, we went to photograph Delicate Arch, which is about a 2.5 hour hike into Delicate Arch. And
Mhm.
but there's also a road that goes onto the backside of Delicate Arch, and we park as close as we can to a little area that is about, oh, less than 200 feet. And if you have a long lens, a 600 millimeter lens, you can photograph Delicate Arch just like you're standing next to it.
How about that?
So, we try to put people in places according to their, not just their skill level, but their ability to get there.
Of
Um,
course.
because there's a lot of people, older people, that they're retired. They love to get out there, but they're not able to do a lot of walking. And I have,
Our hearts and our minds are still in it. The bodies just aren't cooperating.
yes, yeah, I'm there with you. I understand that because I have a Jeff Swinger. He's a guy that I've worked with at Canon for 20 years now. He goes with me. He's younger. If somebody wants to do those aggressive hikes, we do workshops in Iceland and we go into the ice caves. And most of the time, the ice caves are a couple miles. I mean, they're, some distance.
Right.
But about half of our group wants to go into the ice cave, and the other says, I'm just going to stick around the van here and we're going to photograph that glacier that's setting in front of us.
And have some
Well,
s'mores.
I
Yeah.
think about those 10 years when I would take up to 20 of my students with me uh, for a week in Yosemite every year.
Mm.
And the grand times we had, clomping through Yosemite and even photographing, hip deep in the river and all the great things that we did. And I miss some of those times. I really do.
We used to go to Yosemite 5, 6 times a year. One of the great things for
Wow.
me was Horsetail Falls. It's in February, usually about the third week in February. And when we started going there, I don't know, 25 years ago, we were pretty much the only ones across the river that were photographing it. The last time I didn't go there, but I had one of my clients that did, and he said there was probably no less than 600 people in that area that we used to go to.
Wow.
Photographers, all with tripods. He said literally you could not walk between the tripods.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing. Russ, are we ready to go? Oh, who's the kitty cat?
Ready?
This is my 14
Yes,
year
we
old
are ready to
girl,
go if you're ready.
wow.
and
Well,
she
thank you
had to
for
check in
introducing
with
her.
me and see what I was doing. She says, "This is too late to be teaching a class. What's going on?"
That's right. Okay, Russ,
Hey,
take it
our next
away.
image. Are you ready? Our next image is in the close-up category, and it's buzzing around. 81. And this is Ralph.
I was just getting lost in the details here. Uh, just before I put my score in there, I could see, well, where did it go? Oh yeah, the shadow of the bee on the petal two over. And I just like that detail, and everything is very, very sharp. The background is soft, um, and the color of the flower is complementary to the color of the foliage in the background. And so I gave it an 80. I liked it.
Thank you, Ralph. Our next image is Katerina with gun under people. Our score is 78. Robert.
I scored this an 80. I'm sure it's a Day of the Dead um, image. I think looks like it was captured without a lot of time spent posing. You can tell the people in the background, it's more of a photojournalistic, but I think it's well composed. She is obviously right in the center, which to me is contrary to what I typically like, but I think it's a good, strong image. Little more taking down that background and sort of hiding those people a little bit more might have helped, but I like the image overall. I scored it an 80.
Thank you, Bob. Our next image is in the people category, Desert Beauty. Average score 83. This is Nancy.
I scored this an 83. I think we have a beautiful sense of balance here. I love the choice of shutter speed and the use of wind to allow the skirt to fly, and the whole composition of the photograph encourages us to start looking at that wonderful smile of hers, and then follow the skirt, and then be caught by not only the skirt, but the line of the mountains to bring the eye back to her torso. And I think this is a very successful shot.
Thank you, Nancy. Our next image is in the places category, Tipton View. Ralph. 82. Ralph, this is your image.
Yeah. Well, this is a really nice image taken for this time of day. Um, The sun is behind the mountains there, but it's illuminated in the sky. That's getting reflected in the water flowing by. I like that little bush in the left-hand corner. Um, and there's a little bit of fog floating along. So there's the forest in the midterm. There's mountains, and I really like where that that top peak is placed. Um, yeah, I really like that. It gives it some very, very effective visual attention. So I gave it an 80.
Thank you, Ralph. Our next image is in the small stuff category, small succulent. Eighty. Bob, this is your image.
I scored it an 81. I like the composition. I like the depth of field to it. It has a very shallow depth of field. The fact that everything is pointing to the right and there's room to point to the right, it means that somebody gave some thought when they were looking at the composition. The colors, I think, are very significant. And it has a feel of, to me, of just a pleasant image to look at. I scored it an 81.
Thank you, Robert. Our next image is in the animal category, heron in blue hour. 83. Nancy, this is your image.
My score is an 86, and this is because I find it to be so thoughtful. Had this been a different time of day, the detail in the feathers and the wings and the detail in the highlights and shadows on the water could have conflicted with each other, and yet it doesn't. And we have these beautiful color opposites on the color wheel that really make this pop. And then the reflection of the bird adds something particularly extra nice to it. It kind of grounds it in the photograph, which you don't see all that often in bird shots, even when they're close to the water. So I just thought that this was great. And also I want to comment that the photographer has left room for the bird to fly into. And I think that's so terribly important. So many people crop too close to the beak. And this one is, you can imagine the bird moving off to the right. So I think it really deserves its score.
Thank you, Nancy. Our next image is in place category, Portland Lighthouse. 79, and this is Ralph's.
Yeah, this is a nice photograph of a lighthouse. it's even perfectly vertical, which is kind of nice. You can't see the ocean because there's on the right-hand side there's a range coming out onto the ocean, but it's really nice. Um, I would have liked to move the lighthouse and the house a little bit to the left, because that would tell a more complete story of what the lighthouse is there for. And the lighthouse is there to send its light out over the ocean. So moving those little buildings a little bit more to the left would have kind of put more ocean in it and told a story there. But I gave it a 79.
Thank you, Ralph. Our next image is in photojournalism. The title is TBM-E3 Avenger at Apple Valley Air Show.
Nothing showing yet,
I
Russ.
know, I see that. Let me go back. Still not showing. Let me see. Oh, there we go. Okay. Bob, this is your image, 82.
I scored it an 83. When it first popped up in the run through, I really liked it. The only thing that kept me from scoring it higher was I wish it had more room on the right. You look at the image and it's almost like he's just about to run into a wall because there's no space onto the right to allow him to fly into. But the detail is good. I wish it weren't quite so perfectly centered, and by moving that more to the left and giving more room to fly into would take care of that. But I scored it an 83.
Thank you, Bob. Our next image is place under the places category, Fall Splendor, Portland.
Hmm.
'77. This is Nancy's.
I scored this a 79, and um, such a such a pleasant capture of a moment in time. Uh, Lovely bright day. It's a great time of day to take the photo because we have um, brilliant early afternoon light, I'm assuming, um, lighting up, especially that one house, which has all of those faces facing light. That didn't come out too well, but go with me. And of course, these wonderful fall colors and the bit of water. I just thought the whole thing was very pleasant. So uh, my score was a 79.
Thank you, Nancy. Our next image is in the photojournalism category, Vienna Xmas Market. Ralph, 78. This is your image, Ralph.
Yeah, nice try. There are a number of things that kind of get me. Starting with the arch on the left-hand side, the black part is connected to the arch on the right-hand side. It's not, and I'm not sure if it was built that way or if it was just the angle that it was taken. So I'm kind of uncomfortable with that. Then there's the tower that got amputated. Um, Now, I know that I'm quite confident that the photographer wanted to keep the arch as a main element. Uh, and then there's going back to the arch, those two fake candles in the center behind the bed. They are poking a hole in the upper frame. There could have been a little bit more breathing room for them, which would have. And then there's the crowd. The crowd is very dark. You really can't make out individuals. Um, it was a nice idea. There's a parasola. Yeah, anyway. So I think there's some room for improvement on this. I gave it a 77.
Thank you, Ralph. Our next image is in the photojournalism category. MiG-17 taking off at Apple Valley Air Show. 81. Bob.
I scored it an 83, and it's sort of the same criticism as the last one. You need to leave more room on the right side for this MiG-17 to fly into. I think the colors are great, composition is excellent, except for the room that I just discussed. The fact that it is perfectly centered, you can sort of live with, but if it was more room on the right, it wouldn't be. So I gave it an 83, though.
Thank you, Bob. Our next image is in the small stuff category, cactus flower.
Mm. Mm.
80. And this is Nancy.
I scored this an 80. How can you go wrong with a lovely flower like this? And especially considering that it has a very short lifespan, it's a joy to run across them. But I wish our photographer had taken a little bit more time to think about this, because once again, this flower is centered, which leaves it a little bit static. It doesn't encourage the eye to move around the photograph, the viewer's eye to move around the photograph. Also, I'd like to have seen it slightly deeper depth of field to capture all of the leaves of the flower along with the blossom of the flower. So I'd like to have seen this possibly cropped so that the image isn't static in the middle of the photo. But other than that, I think that the shallow depth of field, which softens the larger portions of the cactus in the background and keeps it from competing with the blossom, is a very nice approach.
Thank you, Nancy. Our next image is in the places category, transmission sculpture. Transmission sculpture.
What are you doing?
Ralph,
Without,
82. Ralph, this is your image.
hey, just all of a sudden, my cat. Okay, there we go. 82. Yeah. Um, so looking at this, it's really something to explore. There's so many things to look at here. Um, the sculptures, well, they're pretty much evenly spaced. There's a little bit of a bigger gap where the Milky Way comes through, and that's pretty. But so you got a symmetrical composition here, which I think, well, it's pretty appropriate, and it's nice to have the Milky Way um, uh, coming up there, um, separating the those two center pieces there. And I just reset. My cat jumped in my lap and reset my iPhone, so I don't know what my score was. But anyway, yeah, I liked it.
Thank you, Ralph. Our next image is under small stuff, and it says climbers. '78. Bob, this is your image.
I scored it a 79. Excuse me, a 79. I like the image. I like the lines in it. You can see the horizontal lines moving through it, and obviously those two climbers are following one of those lines. It's not a super strong image. I think that if the climbers were not centered quite like that, it would be a stronger image. Maybe move them off to the right a little bit and maybe show a little more of that sky and bring down the sky a little bit to really emphasize those clouds. But I scored it a 79.
Thank you, Bob. Our next image is under the places category. Come sit a while. Nancy,
So
I need a number.
I sent it.
It didn't show up.
Let's try it again. Oh dear. I'm sorry, I'm getting the screen isn't showing the number pad.
What is your
Well,
number?
if it helps to move forward, it was a 78. And I wanted to love this, but I'm having a hard time with it. It's a beautiful bucolic situation, nice soft lighting coming in and working, but thanks to some distortion, um, maybe it's because of the low point of view, I keep feeling like it's not level. And that's bothering me. Parts look level, parts of it don't look level. And in the very bottom foreground, it looks level. Then you get as far as the chairs, and now we're starting to not look level. At any rate, that's part of it. And um, another part of it is, and I'm probably being a little too fussy, but it's not feeling particularly sharp. So it's making me wonder if our photographer possibly handheld this at the lowest shutter speed that person could handhold. And as a result, it isn't just tack sharp. So I gave it a 78.
Okay. Problem we're having, the image scored a 77. Nancy, can you go back out and come back in again?
Oh, I can certainly try,
Okay.
but I
Oh,
think
wait a
I'm in
minute. Let me try
trouble.
to clear the scores. Let me try that. Try it again and enter your scores. Uh, Robert, you did a 75. Ralph, you did a 79. Robert isn't coming through either. I've got Roberts. I'm still waiting on Nancy.
And you have my apologies.
It's
I'm
not,
having,
it's a glitches.
yeah.
Maybe
Well,
try to
it
go
just
back out and
simply
back in.
disappeared. So I'm going to this is kind of embarrassing because really I am technologically capable. Um, Flash. Okay. And all right, good.
Nancy, need me to walk you through anything?
No, I think the problem is that um, my device automatically put a capital P on Frank's last name and it rejected it. Yep, that was the answer. I'm set and ready to go.
Okay, try to enter the score in then.
Okay.
78. Average score 77. We can move on.
Thank you,
Thank
Dan.
you for your patience.
Our next image is Places Joshua Tree Aurora. '80. Ralph, this is your image.
Yeah, this is a composite image because look at the shadows on the Joshua tree there, that main one in the center. Look at the shadow on that. Sunset about a 45 degrees above the horizon. But then look in the upper right-hand corner and there you have stars and I don't think the light show was going as far south as Joshua Tree. I just really we tried finding it in north of Denver, Colorado, and can't see it. Um, so this is definitely a composite image, um, and so I gave it a 78.
Thank you, Ralph. Our next image is in the Places category, Clouds Through the Arch.
Hmm.
'79. And Bob, this is yours.
I scored it a 78. The fact that it's dead centered again, sort of, I don't know, I struggle with that. I think it's well exposed. The sky looks good. It has a nice foreground right across the bottom of it. You can see the brush growing up and all that. There's in the black area just below the arch at the very bottom. There's no detail in it. On my screen, it's pretty dark. Little bit of detail would have been nice, but I scored it a 78.
Righty, thank you, Bob. Our next image is under Places, and it's view from a Squam Lake dock. 80. Nancy, this is yours.
I scored this an 80, and overall, I find it quite pleasing. I'm not a huge fan of um, saturating colors beyond their naturalness, and if someone was actually able to capture this spectacular beauty uh, and show it within what I would think of with what the camera captured, I'd like to get a little bit closer to that, but I don't hold that against it. It's a good shutter speed for this, and I like the true um, blackness of the silhouette, and you've got detail in the trees in the silhouette, and I give our photographer uh, a big thumbs up for that one. Very good.
All righty. Thank you, Nancy. Our next image is under open miscellaneous, fall aspens. $79. And this belongs to Ralph.
In my mind, this is a texture composition, and those can go very well, especially with autumn colors. Um, the reason I didn't score it any higher than a 78 was because it's overexposed. And how do I know? Because there's highlight clipping on the trunks of the trees there. So making just a little, and those kind of stand out. They kind of jump out at you rather than so well, rather than leaving you alone. So anyway, it's a little bit overexposed, and so I gave it a 78.
Thank you, Ralph. Our next image is in the places category, a view from the bridge. $81. Ralph. No, I'm sorry. Bob,
I
this
did the last one.
I scored this an 82. I liked it. Love the reflection. I love the red on the left. It balances the lights on the top of the tall ship, which have a nice little bit of a starburst to them. I think it is well thought out, well composed, and I scored it an 82.
Thank you, Bob. Our next image is under places, Ocean Beach Pier. 82. This is Nancy.
I actually scored this in 84, and anyone looking at me would see me going back and forth and back and forth. You know, do I want to say that an extra wide angle lens was used, which caused uh, distortions so that part of the pier is leaning right and the part of the pier is leaning left, and it has distorted the rocks in the foreground, and that's also emphasized by the low point of view. But then I say, what an overall absolutely gorgeous exposure. And we can clearly see that this was taken with an ultra wide lens. And there's so much that's going right for it. The perfect placement of the low point of view so that the beach off to the right does not conflict with the pier. There's plenty of room between the top of the hills there and the bottom of the pier. And I like the way the left side of the pier lines up with the where the clouds meet the ocean, and you have a white spot there, and it's perfectly lined up with the pier over there. And I think those parts are absolutely genius. So I have to give kudos to our photographer. I think that this was all intentional. So thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Our last image of the evening is in the places category, the hour before waking.
Could you read that title again, Russell?
The hour before waking, Waking. Score is 85. Ralph.
Yeah, I like the subject of the canoe out there. Probably the guys are fishing, and they're out there all by themselves. In the lower right-hand corner, I like the little ripples, the very gentle ripples, patterns of ripples in the water. I think that's really special. And there's little weeds of some sort sticking up in the lower and the bottom right-hand corner. Uh, I I would like to see a little more drama in there in this. The other than the canoe, everything is very pastel, and that may be that clearly was what the photographer wanted to do, and so and I like the colors. I like to see just a little bit more drama in a photograph like that. But otherwise, it's a very quiet moment. The calm ocean and our calm water, and the two folks out there. So I gave it an 82.
Thank you very much. That concludes our competition for the evening. We do have a best of show, so there are no ties there. So I'd like to thank our judges this evening and also our support staff for helping us with this competition this evening. Thank you all very much.
We
Thank
made
you.
it. Good job,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Any questions